The trade deadline may have come and gone a month ago, but that doesn't stop anyone from cooking up the next batch of trade rumors in the NBA world. One name finding themselves in a lot of headlines lately for this very reason is Kevin Durant of the Phoenix Suns, who was actually almost traded at this year's trade deadline before he himself stepped in and put an end to the deal that would have sent him back to the Golden State Warriors. But even though that trade didn't end up going down, it did indicate that the end of the Suns as we know them is approaching quickly. With them currently at serious risk of missing the playoffs and the play-in tournament, sitting in 11th place in the Western Conference standings, they may have to blow things up this summer, and Durant is going to draw a ton of interest, which is exactly what Bleacher Report covered in a recent article. In this article, they went through and proposed a trade idea for every team, but Kevin Durant trade scenarios popped up 5 separate times. So today, we'll be taking a look at each of those 5 Kevin Durant trade offers, and as always, as we do here on the channel, we'll be analyzing whether or not the trades are realistic, why or why not the teams involved would want to do it, and who benefits the most from it. The first proposal from the article is with the Atlanta Hawks, where the Hawks receive Kevin Durant in exchange for Zachary Risachet, Onyeka Okongwu, Terrence Mann, and a protected first-round pick. It's funny seeing an offer like this pop up a year after the fact, because when the Hawks won the #1 overall pick in the 2024 draft lottery, a large majority of fans and analysts alike urged them to trade that pick for a proven star to complement Trae Young and try to get the team back on track to playing more meaningful basketball. Instead, they held on to the pick in a fairly weak draft class at the top. They selected Zachary Risachet with it, and now Risachet is having an average rookie season, but not exactly wowing anyone like a #1 pick is supposed to. He's a very good defender, providing versatility and impact on that end of the floor, but on offense, he lacks assertiveness and creativity. He's scoring about 11 points per game on mediocre efficiency splits, and he's not necessarily turning any heads. He'll be a good player in the league for a long time, but he probably won't be one of the great players. So now the people are starting to realize that it's just funny to see them potentially look to trade him when this kind of an offer is exactly what people wanted to see from the Hawks a year ago. Still though, it's not a bad offer by any means, and a team with Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, and Kevin Durant can be competitive on both ends of the floor in the East immediately, but for me, it would hurt having to give up Onyeka Okongwu also in the trade. Clint Capella is a free agent this summer, so to then also trade away Okongwu, who is blossoming into a phenomenal defensive center, leaves the team with a glaring hole in the middle, and it would probably create a lot of similar problems that the current Suns team is facing. So while I see the value in the Hawks trading for Durant, they should explore other options to make it happen, such as including other players or even adding in more draft capital, because losing both Okongwu and Capella in the same offseason without a replacement could be disastrous. Now, before we get to the next proposal in the article, I want to thank Bob and Brad for sponsoring today's video. If you're like me, you're probably starting to realize how important the warm-up and cool-down process is to recover properly from exercise, and thanks to the new C2 Pro massage gun from Bob and Brad, my muscles have been feeling great. It's designed for faster recovery through targeted relief anywhere, with seamless switching between heat and cold therapy, powerful percussion, and a customized LED display. It provides effective treatment whether at home, the gym, or on the go. Designed by renowned physical therapists Bob and Brad, it utilizes proven techniques like variable speed levels up to 3,200 RPM, and 5 unique massage heads to stimulate blood flow and reduce soreness. The massage gun is also incredibly compact and lightweight at just 1.5 pounds, making it extremely easy to bring with you on the go, so you never have to miss out on a proper recovery experience no matter where life takes you. Experience the future of smart recovery with Bob and Brad by going down into the link in the description and get an additional 10% off your purchase when you use code BOBandBradC2. Once again, thank you to Bob and Brad for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back into the next proposal. The next proposal from the article is with the Houston Rockets, where the Rockets receive Kevin Durant in exchange for Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Dylan Brooks, Jock Landale, and a first-round pick. The Rockets are on track to comfortably make the playoffs for the first time since James Harden was in town, as their young core is blossoming into a fiery defense-first unit, and their veterans like Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet have helped establish a new culture of competitive drive that is now bearing fruitful results as they sit in 5th place in the West. This is a very strong first step forward, but while they do have a top 3 defense in the league this season, their offense ranks just 16th, much more middle of the pack. So to really get themselves over the hump, acquiring Kevin Durant's lethal scoring prowess could be exactly what they need. This is a hungry young group desperate for success, and they're loaded with depth as well, so honestly they're a prime candidate to take a big swing in a trade. It just comes down to whether the price tag actually makes sense. This is going to sound kind of crazy, I know, but I really don't like the idea of them trading Dillon Brooks here, because he is a huge part of setting the tone for this team and is a leader in the locker room. If I'm the Suns, I would also rather acquire more youthful pieces anyway, so if they could replace Brooks in this offer with someone like maybe Cam Whitmore, who is an explosive scoring talent and still just 20 years old, I would rather take a swing at his upside, with the roster likely getting blown up in the near future anyways. Reed Shepherd may not have carved out much of a role this season as a rookie, but he was a top 3 pick for a reason and still has so much room to grow as a playmaker. Jabari Smith Jr. has been a bit disappointing since he was taken in the top 3 of the 2022 NBA draft, but he is still a terrific defensive talent as well, and the first round pick is a bonus. So I think this is a good fit with potential, but it may need some slight tweaking. The next proposal from the article is with the Los Angeles Clippers, where the Clippers receive Kevin Durant in exchange for Kawhi Leonard, Cam Christie, a first-round pick, and a first-round pick swap. This one's a kind of trade that, if it were to actually happen, would dominate headlines for weeks and catch the eye of every basketball fan in the world, because Durant and Leonard are 2 of the best and most accomplished players of the last 10 years, and being traded for each other would be pretty crazy to see. But when you really think about it strictly from a basketball perspective, I just don't see any point in it if I'm the Suns. Right now, Durant is still producing like a superstar, putting up his typical efficient 27 points per game, but Kawhi's best days are long gone. The knee injuries that he's suffered have taken their toll on his body, and he's now looking like a shell of his former self, putting up just 18 points per game this year, moving noticeably slower, losing that quick first step and ability to pull up on a dime as fluidly as he used to. If the Suns are going to trade Kevin Durant away, they're also going to want to bring in some young talent to help transition themselves into a rebuilding era to try their hand at a brighter future, and a broken down 33-year-old Kawhi Leonard does not necessarily fit that description. From the Clippers' perspective, they would do this deal in a heartbeat, upgrading from Kawhi while also rekindling the chemistry that Durant has built with James Harden during their days playing together on both the Thunder and the Nets. But this one's easily the one I have the least faith in, despite it also being the flashiest offer. The next proposal from the article is a 3-team deal where Kevin Durant goes to the Timberwolves, Jaden McDaniels, Rob Dillingham, Dante DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick go to the Suns, and Mike Conley and a second-round pick go to the Nets. The Nets get involved here pretty much just to help make the money work, and they get to take in veteran Mike Conley to serve as a leader in their young locker room, which could prove to be very valuable down the line. The meat of this offer, of course, though, comes with Kevin Durant teaming up with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota after having gotten swept by Edwards and the Timberwolves in the first round of the playoffs last year, which would be somewhat reminiscent of when he was eliminated by the Warriors, only to then join them the next year too. Durant and Edwards may have gone at each other with fire and intensity in that series, but they have a mutual respect for each other on and off the floor, and deep down, they would both love the opportunity to play together after having teamed up for Team USA at the Olympics as well. The Wolves have slipped a bit since trading Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, and are probably hoping Randle opts out of his player option for next season, but if he does, they'll then need a real replacement at the power forward spot, and KD would propel them right back into contention with his scoring prowess, while also being a much more realistic fit in the lineup than Towns was when they were running dual center lineups. To make this happen, they're going to need to outbid the others in the mix, and so far far today, we've seen some pretty hefty offers for Durant's services, but this one's pretty solid in its own right. Jaden McDaniels is a young defensive maestro. Rob Dillingham is one of the craftiest young ball handlers and playmakers in the game, having a strong rookie season in, albeit the limited minutes that he's currently playing. DiVincenzo is a sharpshooter, and the first-round pick is mandatory for an offer like this. If they want to be the highest bidder, they may need to sprinkle in a tad bit more, but overall, I love the fit and the idea behind this one. And finally, the last proposal from the article is with the Miami Heat, where the Heat receive Kevin Durant in exchange for Kel'el Ware, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, and 2 first-round picks, with one of them being protected. The Heat just lost Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline and seem to be stuck in limbo at the moment without drastic change. Trading for Kevin Durant would be exactly the kind of drastic change that they could use, but looking at this offer, it's very uninspiring. Terry Rozier has been terrible since being traded to Miami, struggling to score the ball anywhere close to efficiently. His defense has been dreadful, and he's also been under investigation in a gambling situation where they thought he was throwing games. And even if he's innocent in those allegations, the fact that it can be argued that he was throwing games in the first place speaks volumes to how poorly his play on the court has been. Duncan Robinson is an overpaid shooter who doesn't convert at nearly a high enough clip to justify his price tag, and then when you factor in both he and Rozier are going to be on the last year of their contracts next season, their value diminishes even more. Kel'el Ware is the jewel in this offer, breaking out as a rookie this season with his explosive athleticism, impressive mobility for a big man, speed, and shooting touch. He's exactly the kind of young player the Suns would definitely want in return, but I'm not sure he outweighs everything else in the offer. 2 first-round picks is also nice, but ultimately, this would only be the offer that gets accepted by the Suns if their front office were stuck in cope mode, thinking that they could still bounce back and compete in the West next season. They would delusionally think Rozier and Robinson are win-now pieces that could help them stay afloat, but otherwise, I don't think this is the path the Suns would actually go down. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these proposed trades for Kevin Durant. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.